Hi. So this is my comprehensive behavioral management plan. And to start my plan, I have my statement of purpose. My statement of purpose is, in this classroom, we will work together to create a positive learning environment for all students. The expectation for all students is to do their best both behaviorally and academically. This classroom thrives on consideration and respect for everyone in this environment. So I just wanted a really simple and straightforward statement of purpose that really focuses on respect for others in the classroom because that's really important to me. And then I have just a few simple 5 rules that are important to me in the classroom, just about arriving to class on time, coming to class with all your materials, being respectful, listen to directions, and not eating or drinking in class because that is just a personal pet peeve of mine. In my procedures, I have broken them down by various situations or tasks. So my procedures for entering the classroom, really straightforward. Arrive on time, quietly, turn homework in. And for me, I would prefer my students to have a seat before the bell rings so that we're not all crowded in the room. So that's part of my entering the classroom procedure, and then having materials out and doing the bell ringer. And just specifically, like I notice at Dodge, where I'm at right now, they're big on handing out tardies. So put that in my procedures in case that is something that needs to happen. So for class time, um, I specifically thought about things that I don't really like that happen in class, and one of those is students just getting up out of their desks randomly. Um, for my students, I want them to ask for permission, even though that seems kind of tedious, but I think that it just functions more smoothly if they stay seated, and if they need to sharpen their pencil or get a tissue or what have you, they have to ask me first. Um, Also, getting up and throwing things away constantly during the day, I don't love that, so having them hold uh, trash at their desk until the end of class, that's a preference of mine and part of my procedures. Something that I have noticed in classrooms that I've been a part of is that if the class is getting too loud, the teacher uses a nonverbal signal to quiet the class down, and a favorite of mine happens to be just raising your hand in the air and then having all the students notice you and raise their hands in the air, and then everybody is quiet. I love that, and that's something I want to implement. Um, and raising your hand before asking questions is important to me, not um, talking over me or trying to ask questions while I'm still trying to explain things. Um, and then for for me, Um, if students get done with work early, I want them to read. Since we are in an English class, I think that's a cool thing to do, or work on an assignment for the class. Leaving the room, gotta take the hall pass. I decided to do 3 bathroom passes per 9 weeks. And they have to turn them in when they use the bathroom. If they've asked me to go to the bathroom and they've already turned in their 3 passes, then they'll have to do a 15-minute detention before or after school, according to the school policies. Um, and if they don't use their bathroom quizzes during the 9 weeks, they can turn them in for a free quiz grade. Um, and another thing, if students finish classwork, they can go to the library. Ending class, pet peeve of mine are students packing up while the teacher is still teaching. So, the old saying, the bell does not dismiss the class, the teacher does. So that is part of my ending of class procedures and remaining in seats until the teacher does dismiss the class. And also being respectful yet again and not pushing people out of the door. So that's all of my end of class procedures. And I included here the procedure for labeling papers. Um, so I would ideally have a poster in my room with this label here so students have that reminder. Positive consequences. When students are on task and behaving appropriately, I will give them verbal praise or nonverbal praise, like a thumbs up or a big smiley face note or something. And also emailing or calling their parents to let them know how awesome they're doing. And I had the idea of students who complete the 9 weeks with no office referrals can have a movie day at the end of the 9 weeks, and ideally I could get other teachers in the grade band to join up with that, and then we could have a movie day kind of for, like, for instance, ninth grade. I thought that would be kind of cool. Negative consequences. Of course, I'd have to look at the school's policies and see what kind of procedures they have for behavior. Um, but for me, for now, their first offense, I will redirect the student with a nonverbal warning, like tapping on their desk or making some eye contact. Second offense, a verbal warning. And if they're still behaving inappropriately, then they'll have detention before or after school. And the next offense will have a phone call from me to their parent or guardian. And after the fifth offense, it will be an office referral. So, and again, like I know that will depend on the school's policies and procedures. So, my action plan, this is my action plan for things that I need to get done to implement my plan. Um, so, creating posters before school begins, that's an important thing to do. Teaching the rules and procedures, want to get that done the first week of school. And be able to hand them the rules and procedures so that they have them to refer to. Um, Creating activities to practice the rules and procedures, I thought that would be neat. A role play, having them do that. And I thought that we should send home copies of the rules and procedures for parents to have, and I thought we could hand those out at open house. And then sign it, and of course I'd have to contact the parents who do not sign the plans, saying that they've seen it and understand it. So that is my action plan. And then these are my procedures for the day. So before class begins, I have to post the bell ringer and greet students in the hallway as they enter the room. Remind students to turn homework in the tray, check attendance, hand back papers, go over the bell ringer, do the lesson, and dismiss the students at the end of class. If a student is absent, I thought I've seen one of my cooperating teachers, if a student was out, he would type up a really quick summary of what we did that day, and he would put it in the tray for the student to grab when they came back, and I love that idea, so that's something that I want to do. So if a student's absent, I want to type up or write down what we did, and just hand it to them so that they can easily see that. If they miss an exam, then they are responsible for coming before school to make it up. And if I'm absent, I will leave the substitute teacher with a list of the day's activities to make that easier. For crisis management plans for medical emergencies, pretty basic stuff. Um, and I just wrote out steps. And ideally, I'll have this printed out so that students can see this as well. The first step would be to immediately go to the student and see if I can provide any medical attention. And the student closest to the door will go and find a nurse and ask the nurse to come to the room. If necessary, we'll call 911. The student closest to the intercom notifies the office about the emergency, and students will remain in their seats unless we need more space for the student who is in need of medical attention. And if that is the case, then the students will line up in the hallway. And when the crisis is over, all students return to their seats, and I will inform administration about the incident. During a behavioral emergency, it's kind of a similar plan. I or the student closest to the intercom will call the office. The student closest to the door will ask the nearest teacher for assistance. If the students are in immediate physical danger, then the students will again line up in the hallway. If not, then they will remain seated. I will try and de-escalate the situation, and we will have the student removed from the classroom once the administrator has arrived. And then, of course, I'll have to relay the incident to the administrator. So yeah, that is pretty much just my behavior emergency plan. Pretty standard. Yep, that is the end of my comprehensive behavioral management plan.